Yes, my people, welcome back to another video and welcome back to the Glory Hunter Challenge. Now, in the last episode, we of course played in the FA Cup quarter final where we played off against MK Dons and we won convincingly 3-0. Now, the draw has been made for the semi-final. And we've been very luckily given Coventry in the semi. Coventry, who sit 8th place in the Championship, trying to get themselves into the playoffs to potentially get promoted. But, of course, Coventry shouldn't be a match for us because we obviously are a Premier League side looking to get Champions League football. So that is a very favourable draw. Now, that will be next episode. However, today we face off against Fenerbache in the Europa League quarter final, which is obviously a big game and one in which we want to be winning to try and get ourselves into both semi-finals of the cup competitions we need to win. Just a reminder, the Glory Hunter Challenge, we need to win the Premier League, the FA Cup, La Liga, the Copa del Rey, Serie A, the Coppa Italia, Bundesliga, DFB Pokal, the French League, Ligue 1, and the French Cup, whilst also winning the Champions League, the Europa League, and the Conference League. So if we could get into the semi-final of the Europa League here today, we will be in the semi-final of two competitions that we need to win to complete the Glory Hunter Challenge. That would be a remarkable first season, with the Premier League being the easier one to win in England as well, because the FA Cup, if you get a bad draw or just have a bad game, you could be out. Like you saw in my Liverpool save, we got knocked out by Oxford. So, one bad game and you could be out. Premier League, you can lose 5 games and still win the league potentially. So, today we will face off against Fenerbahce. Just to show you some of the draws in the Europa League. Roma face off against Bologna. Stuttgart face off against Lille. And Porto face off against Nottingham Forest. Should we go through against Fenerbahce here today, we would face the winner of the Italian lineup in the quarterfinal. And we would face the winner of Roma Bologna. Of course, we did face off against Roma earlier in the year and lost 4-2. So we'll be looking to beat Fenerbahce here today. And the lineup I have selected to try and beat Fenerbahce is as follows. We've gone with Martinez in goal. A back four of Matty Cash, Concert, Pau Torres and Lucas Digne. With a midfield three of Boubacar Kamara, Yuri Tielemans and Harvey Elliott. A front three of Morgan Rogers, Jadon Sancho starting on the left and Ollie Watkins looking for his 35th goal of the season. So that is our lineup in this Europa League quarter-final. We are at home for the first leg. So let's get into this game and see if we can get off to a beautiful start in the quarter-final and see how Fenerbahce will be lining up for it. Okay then, the lineup that Fenerbahce have gone for today is as follows. They've gone with there's a lot of ex-Premier League in this team, as they've gone with Manchester City goalkeeper Ederson in goal. Ex-Wolves Nelson Semedo at right back with Skriniar, Oosterwolde and Archie Brown rounding off the defence. An all ex-Premier League midfield with Edson Ferrer, Alvarez and Fred. Douglas Nene, partners Kerim, I'm not even going to bother saying that, with Marco Asensio, of course, ex-Aston Villa last year on loan, in the 10 with Yusuf En-Nesyri leading the line. It is a good Fenerbahce team. A lot of money has been put into Turkey in the last couple of seasons. So let's see if we can beat Fenerbahce with just confirmation of the Aston Villa lineup there and confirmation of the Fenerbahce lineup, as they do have Anderson Talisca on the bench. I need to skip that, but En-Nesyri gets us underway for this Europa League tie, where hopefully this would be a really good opportunity, because I fear that we may be too good for the to qualify for the Europa League from this point onwards. So this could be our last opportunity to win the Europa League, as Morgan Rogers cutting in, finding Harvey Elliott, and it's blocked by the Fenerbahce defender, but only as far out as Digne. As Tielemans goes for it, and it's just over the bar from Yuri Tielemans. As Digne now with the throw for Aston Villa. Away by Semedo and Nesri, but Matty Cash wins it. Morgan Rogers now in the penalty area for Villa. Doing really well. And Morgan Rogers makes it 1-0 here in the opening 20 minutes of this game. It's a brilliant start to the quarter-final for Aston Villa, as Rogers beats his man brilliantly and slots it at the near post. Ederson will be disappointed to be defeated at the near post like that, as we can see the scores in the other quarter-finals. All level, 0-0, except this one where we are 1-0 up. Harvey Elliott with yet another goal involvement, approaching 30 for the year now. As Digne with the corner, headed away by Skriniar, but only as far as Lucas Digne, who finds Ezri Konsa. Back to Matty Cash, headed away, but Matty Cash is there to pick up the loose ball and find Morgan Rogers, who finds Elliott, who finds Rogers, and it's just past the post by Morgan Rogers there. As Nene now trying to get Fenerbahce level in this game. Nelson Semedo going back to Skriniar, ex-Inter Milan captain as well, I believe. As Nene picks the ball out on this right hand side, cutting in, finding Kerem as it hits the post and falls to Fred, but Harvey Elliott is there to block, and Morgan Rogers keeps it in, stopping it going for a corner. He does then find Cash, who finds Ollie Watkins, but is dispossessed as he is surrounded by Fenerbahce shirts there. As Kerem goes back to Brown, ex-Derby fullback Brown, as Skriniar finds Nene out on this right hand side. Asensio with a good switch out to Kerem, who just hit the post, cutting in. Dispossessed by Matty Cash though, but Fred picks up the loose ball, and Harvey Elliott does well to track back there and play a great switch out to Digne. And Aston Villa can now break as Sancho plays a 1-2 with Digne. Digne doing really well down this left hand side, but is ultimately dispossessed by Nelson Semedo. As Nene goes back to Semedo, who tries to find Nesri, and Pau Torres ultimately pushes him over and is in the book. That felt like an unnecessary challenge to make there, as we are now approaching the final couple of minutes of this first half, as Roma have a goal in their tie against Bologna. As Ederson with probably the last kick of the first half, and it is. As the half-time whistle goes at Villa Park, it is Aston Villa 1, Fenerbahce 0. We'll take it. I'd like another goal to take back to Turkey. To hell. As Watkins kicks us off for this second half. Elliott finds Ollie Watkins, but we won't get to see the outcome of that. As Roma grab a second in their tie against Bologna. And the other side of the quarter-final, it is all level in both the Porto and the Stuttgart game. And Stuttgart doing well to keep top goal scorer Olivier Giroud quiet in the competition so far.
There's not much happening here in the opening 20 minutes of the second half. As we do now approach the final 15 minutes of this second half. Nelson Semedo finding Skriniar, who finds Asensio. And Nesri tries to find Nene and does. Nene goes back to Semedo, who finds Asensio. And Fenerbache hit the post again. As Watkins finds Morgan Rogers. Harvey Elliott trying to just keep the ball for Aston Villa here. As Cash plays a good ball through to Rogers. And Brown is forced to make the foul. That should be a booking. It is indeed a booking. Archie Brown goes into the book. As it's now a free kick for Aston Villa. Digne to take. It's a good effort by Digne and forces a good save from Ederson. But it is an Aston Villa corner, which we won't get to see. Jadon Sancho not having a great game here. Facundo Torres can come in. I don't really want to bring any of these off. They're all having good games. Don't mind bringing Watkins off for Gesand. We'll bring John McGinn in as well. And that's all we're going to do as we approach the final 10 minutes here at Villa Park in this quarter-final first leg. As Porto get to the opening goal in their tie, and so do Stuttgart. All the home teams now winning in this Europa League quarter-final first leg, as Porto grab themselves a second and Roma a third, as it is going to end here at Villa Park 1-0. Aston Villa 1, Fenerbahce 0. It's decent to get a win at Villa Park, but only a 1-goal lead to take in is not too great, and there is still a lot of work to be done in the second leg in a week's time. But we do now face off against Nottingham Forest, who are also in the Europa League quarter-final, and we will play that game and then be back with the lineup to face Fenerbahce away in the Europa League quarter-final.
Okay then. We have played the game in between the two quarter-final ties, where we faced off against Nottingham Forest away, and unfortunately we did lose 1-0 in this one. A Morgan Gibbs-White penalty, the difference between the two sides. In terms of the Premier League, don't think it's going to make much difference, to be honest. Good result for Forest, though, who are 18th. Didn't realise that they were that low down. That's a really poor loss, then. But in terms of the Premier League, we are still 15 points clear with 6 games to go. So as long as we win our next game, we will get Champions League football, which is obviously all we care about. So don't really care. But a bit disappointing to lose in between these games. I would have liked the confidence of the win going in to the next game, but unfortunately not to be. We have made a signing, however, and we have picked up Alvaro Montoro for £10 million. The young 18-year-old attacking midfielder looks like a really good talent. He looks like he's going to be fantastic. Can play on either wing as well. To be honest, I might start him next season out on this left with Jadon Sancho leaving. But he will join me in the summer. As I said, turns 19 tomorrow. I saw him in Next Gen scouting and he looked pretty good. And I thought for £10 million, it's £5 million now with £5 million spread over the next 3 years. So not a bad signing at all. But the lineup we have gone with to face off against Fenerbahce here today in this second leg, where all we need to do is make sure we don't lose the game. We can win, we can draw. As long as we don't lose, we go through to the semis. So we've gone with Martinez in goal. A back four of Cash, Concert, Pau Torres, who now wants to stay, which is brilliant. And Digne completes the back four. Midfield three of Kamara, Tielemans and Harvey Elliott, with Morgan Rogers starting on the right. Jadon Sancho coming back in to the 11. I played Torres in the game against Forest, and Ollie Watkins leads the line for us. As I said, all we need to do, make sure we don't lose. Let's go and play Fenerbahce away and try and get ourselves into the Europa League semi-final. Okay then, Fenerbahce's lineup here today is unchanged, but no, sorry, they've made one change to the lineup, and we can actually see that change right there. So they have gone with Ederson in goal, a back four of Semedo, Skriniar, Oosterwolde and Archie Brown, with a midfield two of Edson Alvarez and Fred. Marco Asensio moves out to the right, with Kieran keeping his place out on the left. Anderson Talisca comes in for Nene, and Yusuf En-Nesyri leads the line. This is a big game. Fenerbahce and their stadium have some experience in Europe, and of course it is often known that going to Turkey away, Galatasaray and Fenerbahce, is often known as going to hell. So Fenerbahce say welcome to hell, and we need to try and conquer hell, as En-Nesyri gets us underway here for this second half, and it's a good start as it is an Aston Villa throw-in almost immediately. Just want to see who that Kerem is, as it's a corner for Aston Villa, headed away, but only as far as Morgan Rogers. Torres now. Tielemans finds Jadon Sancho. Digne is in a bit of space there if we can find him. Tielemans going on his own, dispossessed, and Ollie Watkins. It's just over from Ollie Watkins. It's a decent start to this game here. He's 27. I wasn't sure if he was like a 19-year-old or anything like that, as I do believe this was 2-0, this was 1-0 and this was 3-0. And obviously our game was 1-0. So keeping an eye on those scores down there. But if we could get ourselves a goal here and get the opener, it would put us in a pretty good position, as Lille find themselves 1-0 up, which puts them level on aggregate. As Digne now with the free kick. Digne hits it, and it's just over the bar from Lucas Digne. Not far away there at all, as Fenerbahce now with the goal kick. Ederson going short to Skriniar, and then going long to Nelson Semedo, finding Marco Asensio, finding Talisca. Aston Villa trying to get the ball off of Fenerbahce, but Fenerbahce keeping the ball well here, as Semedo finds Talisca. En-Nesyri then plays the ball out wide to Karim. Karim cutting in and forces a decent stop out of Emi Martinez there. As Bologna find themselves 1-0 up, trying to get a way back into the game, as Stuttgart take the lead in aggregate now, 2-1 I do believe. I did do a Stuttgart save on the beta, where I did win the Champions League with them. So it would be quite nice to face them actually, for my own personal feelings, as Nelson Semedo plays the switch out to Asensio. Trying to beat Sancho, but dispossessed by Jadon Sancho. Elliott can now find Morgan Rogers. Rogers trying to beat his man and absolutely blasts it past Ederson to get the opener here in this game. It is Fenerbahce 0, Aston Villa 1. It's a really good counter-attack, and it's brilliant play from Morgan Rogers. A little heel-to-heel to get past Archie Brown and smashes it into the top corner. It's a brilliant Morgan Rogers goal, as he doubles our lead on aggregate to make it 2-0 and get a goal just before half-time. As we now come in to the half-time break, Fenerbahce 0, Aston Villa 1. As we now find ourselves 2-0 up on aggregate. The scores in the other games, Bologna find themselves 1-0 up. It is now 3-1 to Roma on aggregate, I do believe. We are, of course, 1-0 up and 2-0 up on aggregate. I believe this is now 2-2 on aggregate, and Porto remain 2-0 up on aggregate in their tie. As Ollie Watkins gets us underway for this second half of this quarter-final in the Europa League. As Sancho trying to bomb on down the wing there. As Fenerbache looking for a goal back in this one. Brown finds Fred. Back to Brown. Nelson Semedo now finding Anderson Talisca. He plays a good ball out to Kareem. Kareem cutting in nicely. And goes for it. It's just over from Kareem. He does look dangerous off that left-hand side. Cutting in on his right foot though. Do have to say. As Stuttgart get another goal back. It is now 3-2 on aggregate in that one. As Kareem dispossessed by Kamara. And now Rodgers can break. And Rodgers finds Ollie Watkins, who is surrounded by Fenerbahce players but does brilliantly to get past Brown. Can he find Harvey Elliott? He can. Harvey Elliott back to Watkins to Rodgers. Defenders peeling for offside. I think Ollie Watkins might be offside here, as it will go to a VAR check. This goal, if it's allowed, could be the nail in the coffin to Fenerbahce here, as they are checking. And it has been awarded. Morgan Rodgers gets his second of the game. It's a brilliant 1-2 from Elliott. Is that the tight call? Really? As Morgan Rodgers taps home to make it 2 on the night for him. As he got the goal in the home tie as well. As it is now 3-0 on aggregate. As Lille find themselves 3-2 up in an absolute thriller in France. As we go to the final 25 minutes here. You have to say, if Fenerbahce want a way into this tie, they have to get a goal sooner rather than later. As Asensio trying to beat Digne, but is dispossessed by Digne, who plays a good ball through to Watkins, who can finish the tie here. And it's just over the bar from Ollie Watkins. A bit rash from him there. As we're in to the final 15 minutes here of this tie. Sancho not having a great game again, so Facundo Torres can come on. Rodgers on a hat-trick will not be bringing him off. Garcia makes way for Cash. Matson can come on for Digne, just to get some fresh legs into the defence and the midfield. As Porto find themselves 2-0 up, I believe that is now 4-0 on aggregate. Dismantling Nottingham Forest with ease in that tie. Bologna need to get another goal if they want some hope of trying to defeat Roma here. As Watkins doing brilliantly defensively there. And he can find Morgan Rodgers, who is in. And on a hat-trick, Morgan Rodgers opts to go unselfishly to Harvey Elliott, who makes it 3 on the night and 4 on aggregate. And that is the tie done and dusted. Harvey Elliott gets his 7th goal of the Europa League. Morgan Rodgers on a hat-trick turns provider as Harvey Elliott cuts inside. It does take a deflection, but we do not care, as we are through to the semi-final of the Europa League here, and we are looking for more as Torres finds Torres. Harvey Elliott now looking for his second. Thought it could be a penalty there, as it's cleared, but only as far as Garcia. Facundo Torres now finding Harvey Elliott, who finds Rodgers. Ollie Watkins goes for it, and it's just wide from Ollie Watkins. Not long to go now in this one, as we're into the final 5 minutes of normal time here. I was a bit worried going into this game away at Fenerbahce, but we have definitely turned up. As En-Nesyri looking for a consolation goal for Fenerbahce to try and hide the embarrassment, but it's just over the bar. And could that be the last attack of Fenerbahce's Europa League campaign here? As Bologna get themselves a second, but it could be too little too late. As more importantly, Fenerbache 0, Aston Villa 3, and we advance through to the Europa League semi-final, 4-0 on aggregate, dismantling Fenerbahce there. As we have got Roma confirmation of that, and that will be in 2 episodes time, as next episode attention does turn to the FA Cup semi-final at Wembley. We'll be looking to try and get ourselves into the FA Cup final. And if you don't want to miss that video, then don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on so you are always notified when I upload a video. Don't forget to check out my Twitter, link in the description. And also don't forget to check out my Twitch as we stream pretty much every single day, my Sleaford Town save. And if you're excited for the Coventry game and the Europa League semi-final, trying to get into 2 different finals in our first season of this Glory Hunter Challenge, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And I'll catch you tomorrow for more Glory Hunter, where we take on Coventry in the FA Cup. Peace.